Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, as Manchester United are linked to a shock transfer for Mathys Tel of Bayern Munich. This is coming in from Pletty last night. Man United have joined the race. Apparently he wants to leave Bayern Munich. It's going to be very interesting to see what fee he goes for, considering I think most hipsters, most people who are looking at young talent in a footballing way would be aware of Tel and his amazing potential. But he does have a contract till 2029, and Bayern Munich don't tend to sell on the cheap. Is this a red herring to get us excited in the last few days and nothing will happen, or is there genuinely something could happen there? We'll talk about that and how it could happen as well. Also, Casemiro has apparently turned down a transfer to Roma this January transfer window. Why? We'll discuss that. Malacia could be following Anthony to Betis on loan. We've also got the latest on Garnacho and Rashford. Dorgu is flying in today on a medical, and a little bit of interesting insight into Manchester United's transfer fees since Ineos have come in. Are we better at transfers since Ineos came in compared to the Glazers? I know the Glazers still own the club and some people don't like to differentiate between the two. At the end of the day, it's probably true. In fact, it's fair to say nothing gets signed off without Joel Glazer anyway. So we don't buy Dorgu for 25 million unless Joel Glazer says yes. But the negotiating power is different. We don't have Murta now, so let's talk. Love United, hate the ops, says Dorgu travels tomorrow, not today. It's been reported today, mate. So, you know, unless you've got better sources than what we've read before we went live, then it has been reported as today by Damarcio. Let's have a quick look. Romano has given an update 15 hours ago. Let's have a look. Yeah, breaking. Dorgu is flying to Manchester United today. That's according to Sky, and that's literally just breaking news. I think you're going off. Damarcio. Regardless, I don't expect him to train until Friday anyway. My big priority is whether he's going to be in the team for Sunday or whether it will be Leicester. Because remember, with Dorgu, he is coming in fit. He played at the weekend with Lecce. This is the middle of the season. There's no pre-season to worry about. Straight into the team, maybe straight onto the bench, but straight into the squad, hopefully for Sunday. Whether the medical happens today or tomorrow, he could still be training on Friday. So that could put him in the match day squad on Sunday. As long as it's done by tomorrow, I don't really care whether it's today or tomorrow. Right, let's get into the show. Let's talk about Tel. I just woke up for this. It's 5 a.m. in the morning, says Wyatt. That's being a proper United Stand hardcore community member, Wyatt. And with a name like Wyatt, I'm not surprised. Deed, welcome to the Members Club. Right, let's hit this story. So, Tel of Bayern Munich has been linked to Manchester United. A 19-year-old winger stroke attacker. I've seen bits of him, but I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to solve world peace and, you know, make Man United great again. I don't know. I really don't know about that. But this is what Pletty is saying. Man United are considering entering the race for Mathys Tel if Garnacho or Marcus Rashford leave. This story straight away has so much to it. Remember the 5 principles of a transfer that we always talk about, where it could be complete rubbish, it could be totally true, it could be agent-driven to generate interest, it could be player-driven to get a new contract, it could be Man United-driven just to make it look like Man United are doing something. Obviously, 3 or 4 of those scenarios means it's just a load of bollocks. He actually is a good player, says Maka. I think he's a very talented player. I think he's got a lot of potential player. And at 19 years of age, if he's the right player, you're going to get him. I mean, this is what I'm talking about with Garnacho going to Chelsea. It's the same if we went for Tel. It's exactly the same thing. For me, Garnacho's got loads of potential, and he's already proven himself in some ways. And if he went to Chelsea at 20, you're getting 5 years of him developing, and then you've got a sell-on value. If we bought Tel in, you're getting him at 19. He's got lots of potential and he's talented, and you're going to get 5 years of him getting better. And then at 25, you might get another 5 years out of him where he's world class, or you can sell him. So again, I think it's a good example of why, another reason why I don't want Garnacho to go, because it'd be the same if we got hold of Tel. I'd be looking at Bayern going, why have you let that happen? And I think that's the same thing if we let Garnacho go. But with Tel, I don't know what to read about this, because I think if look, and a bit of common sense but new news. If Marcus Rashford leaves Man United, we don't need to sell Garnacho. The finances are absolutely fine, because if Marcus Rashford goes, we're not going to be paying all of his wages, and the amount we'll save on his wages and a loan fee, people are talking somewhere between 5 and 10 million. Well, first payment on Dorgu is going to be between 5 and 10 million. And if you can't figure that one out for yourselves, by the way, Marcus Rashford, we would be looking for at least £150,000 a week of his wages to be paid, which of course is £600,000 a month across what would be probably about 4 months, if we're being honest. So that's £2.5 million in wages at least. And then you'd expect to get some sort of loan fee, which could be, £4-6 million. So you're going to get between 5 and 10 million if Marcus Rashford goes on loan, and that's the first payment on Dorgu. So yeah, we don't necessarily have to sell Garnacho if Marcus Rashford goes on loan, or Casemiro for that effect. And also Anthony's on loan, so there is money coming in from that. So we can get Dorgu and keep Garnacho. But if you want Tel, then you probably do need to sell Garnacho, I would say. That's a poll in itself, isn't it? I'm going to reserve judgment on this Tel one, because I personally think that we might just be victim of what we're victim of here. Plettigol is a Sky Germany journalist, and like Damarcio, like Romano, like a lot of good journalists, sometimes they are, and I hate to say this, but they are not just sat there in a room reporting. They are also products themselves. And they can massively help agents and clubs if they mention players. This has been going on for about 2 or 3 years. Client journalism isn't just journalists around Man United putting information out. This is transfer journalists as well. I think Damarcio does it a lot around Italy. Like, you get stories that don't end up being true, but will enhance the opportunity of a new contract, or a club selling a player, or an agent selling a player. And I just feel that, Plettigol, Germany, Bayern Munich, Germany, Tel, Germany. Adding Man United into the mix for Tel, does it do Bayern Munich any harm? Does it do Tel any harm? No. If Chelsea are looking at it and think United are in, they might pay a little bit more. So I'm not totally convinced that we're in for Tel, really. Not until there's more. Because Plettigol is linked us to players that we have been for, but he's also linked us to players that we haven't signed as well. And this deal has literally presented itself on the 28th of January, and the window closes on Monday. We're slow at deals. I don't even know how we could do a deal here. I don't know what deal we could do. People are saying, let's loan Tel and give them Marcus Rashford. Yeah, let's do that. Are they open to that? Let's loan Tel now with an obligation to buy in the summer. Yeah, let's try that. Yeah. Let's sell Garnacho and buy Tel in 4 or 5 days. I can't see it. I can't see that. And I think that's the problem for me. I don't know at the moment how true this deal is. And it could be that we're just being used to generate interest. Chelsea are looking at him, with Nkunku going the other way potentially. What's the fee going to be? Somebody said 40 million. I think that's very cheap for him at 19. I think that's very cheap, 40 million. So I don't know what the price is going to be as well. Would you take the player? Yeah, of course I would take the player. He's very talented. I think he fits the profile of what we're looking for. He's got a point to prove. These types of players can end up being very, very, very decent players. And it wouldn't be the first time, a teenager leaves a club because he's frustrated on game time and goes somewhere else and is fantastic. So look, I'm not opposed to United being interested in him. I don't know him as well as I'd know someone like Isak or something like that. I haven't seen him that much, but there's no doubt that his name has been mentioned for a long time. And when I've watched Bayern Munich and he's come off the bench predominantly, he does look like a talent that needs more game time, which he's not obviously getting at Bayern at the moment. So, of course, I'd be interested in him. I mean, one scenario I did want to say, and I suppose that's what the poll is about at the moment, would you sell Garnacho for 50, 60 million to buy Tel from Bayern Munich? I don't think there's a problem if you say you would. I really don't think there's a problem. I would almost go, why? I mean, the only reason you would do it is if you think Tel fits Amarim's system massively better than Garnacho's going to be. Because really, to me, it just looks like a bit of a like-for-like deal. I mean, I don't even know if it massively improves us in the short term. So I would rather be bringing Tel in and keeping Garnacho, to be honest with you, because I want Anthony and Rashford to go, and Tel would be a good player to have alongside Garnacho and Ahmad, etc. But I don't really see the value in selling Garnacho to get Tel. I think we end up in pretty much the same position, potentially worse, potentially a little bit better, but I don't really see it just seems like a lot of work for nothing, really. And also, I thought we were selling Garnacho because of PSR and we need to get money into the club. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But to me, it feels like a good deal, a good player where we might be being played, where Man United, we might just get thrown into the mix because Man United in the mix makes it, a better deal. Not sure if I've missed you speak about it, but what do you make of the article saying United players are banned from... Oh my God, Mike Thomas. Are you seriously, Mike, the chat are going to be laughing their head off here. So Mike Thomas has given us a super chat. I'm going to respect this as not trolling. He says, I'm not sure if you've missed you speak about it, but what did you make of the article saying United players are banned from seeing Tampa's facilities because they're better? Mike, I'm going to assume you're not a troll. I've literally been asked this every single day for about a week, and I've given the same answer every single day for a week. I think the story is rubbish, because if my mate says, oh, I don't want you to come round to look at my new house because you might be jealous, then I'll just Google Rightmove and have a look at the house you bought and have a look at all the pictures. And unless Man United players are really thick, like, you could just Google Tampa Bay for facilities and have a look online at the pictures. So I think it's a stupid story. Josh Burke says, too many fans have shiny new player syndrome. Garnacho is our talent and we shouldn't be selling him or trading him, end of. Yeah, Josh, I think this is a good point. Look, we've got a lot to get into. I want to talk about this Casemiro story, a little bit about other things as well. I think this is a good point. I think that it's crept into other clubs. Real Madrid have been like it for years, and it's a shame it's crept into Manchester United, because I was having this chat with somebody last night, and they were saying that PSR and selling young players to get money into the club is just the way of the world now. Chelsea do it, Villa do it, everybody's doing it, so Man United need to do it. And I said, just because everybody else is doing something doesn't mean we have to do it. If you run a restaurant and you've got a homemade soup that you've been making for 60, 70 years and everybody loves it, but then every other pub and restaurant has come up with this formula that, the soup's ready in a minute and you just pop it in the microwave and it tastes nice and nobody knows the difference. I still want to do what we've been doing because there's something credible about it. And Manchester United don't sell young players. We don't sell young players with talent. I know Elanga went recently, but we'd given up on Elanga and we wanted to cash in. We don't sell players who are on their way up and we don't know how good they're going to be yet. We don't do that. We develop players. We are a club that's had a youth player on our bench since the 30s, the Busby Babes, the class of 92. We develop players. Just because Chelsea sell them doesn't mean that I think we should. And I understand some people are very, realistic, business world, this is how football is now. But I think people will find in life as you get older, this is how the world is now. The older I get, the more I go, why? Why is it? Why do we have to lose traditions that make us who we are? And I don't look at Sir Jim Radcliffe and Ineos and the Glazers and go, yeah, just sell Garnacho and Collier and Mainu. Sell them because Chelsea do it. We're Manchester United, and we have some amazing records that to this day I don't think we'll ever go. And the youth is massively part of it. So I don't agree with us doing that at all. But I also think that what else has crept into our football club is that we've always been quite patient with our young players at Manchester United. We've always been quite patient with our new signings at Manchester United. Manchester United has always been seen as a football club that gives people a chance. And that's dying as well. I mean, I had a rant about this back in August when Agate had played like 2 sub-appearances and people were giving him a nickname. I can't remember what the nickname was, but he's a flop. And Xerxes a flop. And De Ligt's a flop. And I'm like, this is not coming from the media. This is coming from our own fans. I don't know why it's crept in, but it is creeping in. We seem to be losing... slowly eroding the identity of what we are. We're not Chelsea, we're not Arsenal, we're not all the same. they're Arsenal, they're Chelsea. They should have their own things that separate them from everybody else. And we do have our own things. And I think protecting and nurturing our youth makes us different from everybody else. And supporting and being patient with new signings. But we are getting that new toy syndrome. I mean, how many shows over the last few weeks have we seen, let's get rid of Xerxes, let's get rid of Rasmus, let's get rid of, it was Agate at the start of the season. We've seen it with young players as well. I just think we do need new players, but we shouldn't be in a rush to be that club that always wants a shiny new toy, because I look at Liverpool and I look at what they've achieved with Gravenberch in season 2 compared to a bad season 1. They did it with Fabinho as well. I look at Darwin Núñez, who's still there and has missed so many chances and is still there and still gets patience. And I think we need to be that. It's so hard, but we will be better off for it. Zach's gifted 5 memberships. So has Mike JBA. Membership gifting on a Wednesday morning. Absolute legends. Thank you, Josh Burke. You've generated a conversation there. That's what it's all about. Andy Atherton says, off topic, but when Amorim came in, he said we would not be raiding Sporting. Do you think the club told him big signings would be in the summer, says Andy Atherton? No, I don't think so. I think Amorim would have hoped that things... Look, Amorim might have said, I don't need that much in the January transfer window because I think I'll be all right till the summer. But results dictate situations. If your star striker breaks his leg on January the 1st, you're not going to go, let's wait till the summer. And conversely, Amorim may well have agreed that we don't need to do a lot in January because we'll be all right. But after 6 weeks, I'm sure he's saying, no, we won't. We need to do stuff now. And that's why you can't run a football club on, we're not going to do anything till the summer. If I'm running a football club or I'm running a business, something might happen today that I have to act on this afternoon. And a football club should be run like that. It's sad Dorgu is getting the medical on Thursday, says Wyatt. Well, Sky said today. So I'm not arguing about it. I think some people think I'm saying it's a medical today. What I'm saying is the news this morning was it was today. Some people are now saying tomorrow. Some of you get really arsey about this. I don't care. As long as he's training on Friday, I'm not bothered. Hi, Mark. Hope happy Lunar New Year. Wish you and your family good luck, good wealth and prosperity. United will be back. Best wishes from Singapore, says Norman. Did you see it? I saw yesterday, Man United tweeted it, actually. Is it Chinese New Year? Year of the Snake? And somebody replied with, does that mean we're getting Di Maria on transfer deadline day? I thought, ooh, that's edgy. What's your opinion on Dorgu? Says Hyper RT. Mate, I like the player. I was worried about the price, but I like the player. But let me just say this, actually. Let me just go through. It's going to be in euros. I think it's going to be in euros. I don't think I can change it to... Can I change this to pounds? I'm on a website where it's in euros, and I don't think it could change. We'll do it in euros. Okay. So these are all the signings that Ineos have made since they came in. Do you think we've overpaid? And if we have overpaid, how much by? Now, thinking about what we have bought, you know, we overpaid on Sancho, we overpaid on Maguire, we overpaid on Anthony. I think we overpaid on Martinez, actually. Martinez is probably just about hitting the fee we paid for him now, but 47 million was a lot for Martinez, I think, but probably only about 10%, maybe 20% too much, but we overpaid under the Glazers. Have we overpaid on Dorgu, 25 million, 30 million euros? Yes, by about 20%. Did we overpay on Euro at 62 million euros? Yeah, by 20%. I'd say he's a 50 million euro player at 18. But Real Madrid was sniffing around. With Dorgu, we weren't going to get him cheap in a January transfer window. Did we overpay on Agate at 50 million euros? Probably. I'd say 45, 40, based on he hadn't had a good year at PSG. But again, 10%, 20%. Did we overpay on De Ligt at 45 million euros? I don't think we did. I don't think we did. Under 25, played at top clubs, Dutch international. I don't think 45 million euros for his age was overpaying. Xerxes at 42 million euros. Did we overpay? For a striker who's just had a good season? Probably not really. If we did, 10%. Did we overpay for Mazraoui at 15 million euros? We underpaid. So when you look at our business under Ineos, actually, and I will always do this, I am not happy with a lot of things Ineos are doing. God, I am not happy. I don't trust them. They're in bed with the Glazers. I hate this deal. I'm hoping it's going to work out, but they've done a hell of a lot wrong. But I also live my life in the way that, you know, just because somebody does something wrong doesn't mean they're always doing something wrong. Doesn't mean they're totally rubbish. And there will be aspects of things that Ineos have done. I liked the summer transfer window. I like the signing of Dorgu. And when you collectively look at the signings we've made, even if people want to say we've overpaid 10, 20%, which is a lot. You know, we shouldn't overpay. We're Man United. I don't think Man City overpay hardly ever. But it's a step in the right direction, because I would say we've been overpaying by 50% at times, 30%, 40%. So it is coming down. Rome wasn't built in a day, maybe. Tom Grant's gifted another five memberships. Legend. Under the Glazers, we were paying 70 million for Dorgu. Exactly. I wouldn't go that high, but you know what I mean. I think it certainly is getting a little bit better. Good afternoon, everyone, from New Delhi, says Mojo. The legend is in the chat. Tejas says, hi, Mark. Thank you for all you do. Lots of love to you and the fantastic United Stand family. Thank you, Tejas. I just woke up for this, says Wyatt. We've done that as well. Okay, let's talk Casemiro. So Paul Hurst in the Times is saying that Casemiro has rejected a transfer to Roma in preference of going to Saudi. What are your thoughts on that? Well, the interesting thing about the Roma connection is that apparently they're trying to offload Paredes, and then they would look to buy Casemiro on a permanent deal for 15 million. The stumbling block is trying to get Paredes out, but also the wages that Casemiro is on. Casemiro apparently prefers a move to Saudi. The fact that Saudi don't want him is disappointing, obviously, and probably very disappointing for him, because he can keep his wage. I think this is about wages. I mean, look, I don't really understand the Casemiro situation. He's not good enough to play for Manchester United, fine. You could go to Roma and play in a competitive league each week and probably have to take a bit of a pay cut, or you can go to Saudi and just earn the money. So from that story, I think it's safe to say Casemiro, if off that story, is focused on keeping his money, because the Italian league is a more competitive league. The problem he's got is that for some reason the Saudis don't seem to want him. Boniface, I think, is going now to Al Nassr. They're also interested in Duran. I think Casemiro is about 2 or 3 years too late for Saudi. I think they've moved on from, you know, end of career big names, and they're trying to get younger players in. I mean, I don't know personally. I don't understand people like Boniface going to Saudi. I don't understand it. But it used to happen with the Chinese league as well. I do understand it. It's money. And we can't judge people on that because we're not them. We're not walking in their shoes. We can have an opinion on it, though. And I find it very disappointing when talented younger players leave competitive football to chase the money in Saudi. That's no bad reflection on Saudi. That's no bad reflection on Boniface. It's a personal choice. They're trying to build something, and to be fair to them, they're trying to get younger players in to try and promote their league better, because everybody just sees it as a retirement payday. So Casemiro may not be able to get that opportunity. But, you know, what's he going to do? I'm not going to Roma. Saudi don't want me. So am I just going to sit and on my arse and earn 350 grand at Man United? He's been doing that for 6 months. So my concern with Casemiro at the moment is that if it's true that he's rejecting Roma to wait on Saudi, I mean, he really just is a mercenary, isn't he? In the strongest sense of the word. So it's problematic. And I've got to concede. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do if you're Manchester United in that situation? I mean, you're paying. Obviously, you're going to get ridiculed because you're paying a stupid amount of money each week. But this is 1.4 million pounds a month. By the time we hit the summer transfer window, that's nearly 10 million on wages. So, yeah, hopefully we can sort something out with Casemiro, but I think he's way more problematic than someone like Rashford, who wants to play football and there will be interest there. With Casemiro, it looks like, you know, what do you do? Hi Mark, it's the missus's birthday today and she wanted to say it's about time we sign someone in January and give some members. Cheers everyone and Mark. Well, Tom did give some memberships and happy birthday to you, Mrs. Tom. Hope you're having a good day. Fred Flintstone says, Saudi just signed Boniface. Does that influence the Casemiro deal? They've got this limited foreigner rule. I don't know whether there is any space for Casemiro now. As M1K3 says in the live chat, it becomes a big problem. Andreas says, Pogba for 30,000 for 3 months. He needs the PR. We need an 8 with Worldies, 3 times the charm story in the summer. I'd do it. No. I enjoy the sentimentality and the romanticism, but the reality, mate, is that he hasn't played professional football in about 2 years. Before the ban, he was consistently injured. He could not get fit for Juventus. End. There are more chapters, but that's end of the story for me. Not played for ages, was injured before the ban. He's not reliable. And also, the second chapter is all the noise and PR that comes with it into that dressing room. No. It's a no from me. Prime Paul Pogba, who can stay fit for 4 months of the next 5, yes. But not... I've got nothing against Paul Pogba. I like Paul Pogba. But what I have got against is fans who want to do this deal but then moan when we're shit. If you don't want to be shit, stop taking stupid risks. If you want to be successful, start putting in structures in place that have very big chances of succeeding. Stop taking risks. Because we take too many risks. And for me, this is a big no. I wish Paul Pogba all the best, but not at Man United. I don't want him at Manchester United, personally. I think the player is fantastically talented. I don't know whether he is anymore, but I think his body is broken. You look at his injury record, I think his body is broken. The ban, to me, I don't even know what the ban's all about. I've never really read about the ban. I don't know if he's guilty or not. I don't really understand what the ban was about, but the injury record before that's where I focus in. Under the Glazers, thank you very much for blips. Malacia, another potential problem, could be heading to Anthony at Betis on loan. Malacia heading on loan. I find this quite interesting, actually, because what I would say about Malacia is that, I mean, people, I think, unfairly have said, oh, he's good mates with Rashford, that's why he's going. But Rashford's can't get a sniff at United. Malacia has literally started games and been off the bench very recently. So Malacia to me is a bit of a confusing one, because if Dorgu's coming in, Malacia to me just becomes that backup left back that you don't really want to use. But it's still a backup left back. I would stop using Delo at left back, really. It doesn't work. He's dreadful there. So I would be, Dorgu, you're going to start, and Malacia, if I need you for 20 minutes, you're going to come on. And I just do that till the summer. Because if Malacia goes on loan, his wages are rubbish anyway. There's no financial benefit to this. We're just trying to put him in the shop window at Betis. I'd keep him till the summer and stop using Delo at left back and then have Malacia as a natural left back. Because if Dorgu plays at left back and he gets tired and you bring Delo on, you completely lose your balance. Whereas if Dorgu gets tired and you bring Malacia on, he might not be as good, but he's still left-footed and you keep your balance. So I'd be keeping Malacia. Now, the big elephant in the room, and that's not waitist, by the way, that's just a saying, is Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw and Dorgu works really, really well. But if Luke Shaw gets injured again, you're using Delo as the backup left-back again. So I don't really get Malacia moving on, apart from I just don't think Amrim likes him. I genuinely just don't think Amrim likes Malacia. Not like, oh, here he is, I can't stand him. I mean, like, I don't think he likes him as a player, which is why I worked through that to explain why I think we're loaning him, because logically, I think we'd be better off keeping him as our backup left-back till the summer because he's a natural left-footer. But I don't think Amrim rates him at all. I think he'd rather use Delo. Yechi says, a really good take, Mark. Even though the ticket prices were unacceptable, but Amrim coming in, the summer signings, and Ten Hag, even though didn't work out, has been a positive for a minute. Yeah, again, I think the summer signings were good. I'll die on that hill. I really will. I think Agate, Delit, Mazraoui, Yoro, and hopefully Xerxes are all going to be good signings. I think Dorgu's a good signing. So, look, there are people who live up the arse of Ineos. They'll absolutely wipe their arse for them with their tongue. And we know who those people are. And those people aren't worth the steam off our piss because they're sensationalist, biased people who just won't see anything wrong with it. On the other hand, you've got people who will just slate the Glazers, slate Ineos, and will never see any good. I'd rather be the person that actually, when I say something about Ineos that's bad, hopefully people listen to it a little bit and forge their own opinions, because I'll also say when they do good. I think that makes your opinions far better in life if you can actually be critical but also be positive. And Ineos have done some horrific things in their first year, and the communication is terrible. And I agree with the fans singing about Sir Jim on Sunday and not being happy with him. But the flip side is there is a little bit of hope in the sense that I think transfer-wise it's been pretty good. Pretty good. But you know what? I could be saying to you tomorrow morning, they are fucking idiots. Because if I wake up tomorrow morning and they sell Garnacho and the replacement is Nkunku on loan, then they're back being idiots again. And they're on thin ice. I think the trust is gone. The honeymoon is gone. Some people said to me yesterday, like, why are you so negative? And I'm like, I'm not negative. I want Amrim to do well. I'm happy with Dorgu. I'm happy with some of the players. I really want us to do well, and I'm excited about Amrim, but I don't like the ownership. And after 20 years of seeing this club rot in front of our eyes, I'm worried that we might have another decade of it. So I just think we need to hold them accountable. And that's not being negative. That's actually being positive, because it's seeing the problems and shouting them out. And I think we must hold them accountable. Otherwise, if you give bad people a free rein, they'll keep doing bad things. And I think Ineos came in with a lot of promise, and at the moment we're not quite seeing that promise. So hopefully they can do better. But we're a long way off as well. I think where we are at the moment, it's so bad we'd be happy just to improve a little bit. But I think anybody who's talking about Champions Leagues or titles completely underestimates that even if you're good, you might not be good enough. It's a very, very, very big task to get back. GC says, I challenge you to watch Dorgu's highlight reel. I just did, and in that small clip, he was on his butt on the grass 67 times. That's a lot. Yeah, but mate, I don't do highlight reels. I don't do YouTube clips, because I remember watching Sean Longstaff when we were being linked to him, and it made it look like he was prime Steven Gerrard, and he ain't prime Steven Gerrard. I've seen Dorgu, and I think what I take away from him in the limited time I've seen him, but it's actual games, I think he's a very balanced, very quick, very physical, very talented young left-back who is better going forward than he is defensively. Certainly not the finished article, and certainly going to take a little bit of time, but I'm not expecting prime Patrice Evra. I'm expecting a young left-back who makes mistakes, and that's why I go back to what I said before. We need to be patient. I know there's people in our fan... I already know his nickname. I already know it. You know it. Figure it out. Dorgu. What does that sound like? I know what his nickname is. I just don't want to see it in the United fan base. We should be fighting to protect our players, really. Dan says, Shaw's back in training by the looks of it. What a surprise. I mean, Luke Shaw can piss off as far as I'm concerned. I say that in complete and utter honesty. I've protected and defended Luke Shaw for so many years, and I feel so cheated by the last year. I really do. That is, when I say he can piss off, I genuinely am so frustrated and disappointed with a player that I think is one of the best left-backs in Europe, but I just don't agree with the last year. I really don't. I think that going to play for England over Man United and getting yourself injured doesn't get spoken about enough. The British media have just completely and utterly buried it. If it was a foreign player, it'd be very, very different. I'm just very, very pissed off with Luke Shaw, and I can't lie about that. And if people disagree with me, well, you're on the right platform, because that's exactly what we're promoting. This is not some dictatorship, as you know. You've got people do disagree, and that's absolutely fine. What I will say is the door is never shut when it comes to me. I do believe in rehabilitation and I do believe in second chances. And if Luke Shaw can come back and stay fit and show that he gives a shit about this football club, then I will be there saying, look, I told you so. He's one of the best left backs in Europe. But him being back in, he irritates me at the moment. I can't lie about that. He absolutely irritates me. But that's because of his own doing. What he did in the summer was a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. You weren't even fit for the FA Cup final. You weren't even fit for the first month of the Euros. You only got fit for the final. It was a complete and utter vanity project. He never should have done it, and the club is stupid for him allowing him to do it. He then comes back from England's Euros, which was clearly sort of like, it was like a boxer's last fight. I've just got to do this. If I don't do this, I'll regret it forever. And then we lose him for another 6 months. So that's my issue. It starts and ends with that. And if somebody wants to tell me, or Luke Shaw wants to tell me there's a different story, I'll listen. But we've never been told a different story. And we've suffered. We have suffered because of what he chose to do in the summer. We have not had a left back because of it. And we wouldn't have lost as many games if we'd had Luke Shaw. No way. He offers so much to that team. And but look, if he does get back fit, I want Dorgu. I don't want Luke Shaw. I want Dorgu to be the starting left back. He's the future. Luke Shaw's the past. If Luke Shaw wants to get fit and be a backup, that's fine. I don't want to fight for first team place because you can't rely on Luke Shaw. So for me, if Luke Shaw gets fit as a backup left back where we can limit his minutes, fantastic. But I don't want to see a Luke Shaw renaissance where he's trying to be the first team player again because that won't work. Dorgu has to flying start to keep Shaw out, says Robert McCormack. I think the fans will want Dorgu. I think Amrin will want Dorgu. And I think Luke Shaw will be the backup if he can stay fit, which I'm comfortable with. I'm from Folesworth, just like Sir Jim Radcliffe. And to this day, as a Manc born and bred, I can't get my head round why he didn't step aside when Qatar came in, says Callum. Vanity project, mate. Look, Sir Jim Radcliffe supports Manchester United, but what happened is he had the opportunity to get hold of Man United for his own project. And that's why he did it. Daz says, I agree that the summer signings were good, so why have we been so poor and have we put too much pressure on our younger players, says Daz. Because I think you make a great point, Daz. I think that if we had a good summer transfer window, why are we so shit? Well, we bought 5 players and it takes probably a season for people to settle into the Premier League, so you can't put the blame on the 5 players. Also, I think experienced players that should have been carrying the team let us down, and I think we know 4 or 5 of those. I mean, I just mentioned one. Also, not having a left back is just criminal. In any game of football, you imbalance your entire team. I mean, how many times do you see Delo stood on the left wing and oppositions leave him there? I mean, it makes me laugh. The amount of times you see Delo going like this on the left wing and no one's near him. And you know why no one's near him? Because they don't see him as a threat. They're like, if the ball gets to him, we'll jog over there, but like he can't do anything anyway. He'll cut inside and shoot, or he'll put a crap cross in, or more than likely he'll pass it back. So imagine if that's Luke Shaw. If Luke Shaw's going like that, they ain't going to leave him. So not having the balance in the team has been an issue as well. But on your question about transfers, just because we buy 5 good players doesn't mean that we're going to have a good season. We've just bought a good left back. Doesn't mean we're going to have a good season. Some of them are going to need time to adjust. Some of them are still young players as well. Love listening to the shows whilst at work. Keep it up, says Josh. I'm loving, mate. The shows have been so good recently. I can't thank you enough. Because you know why the shows are so good? Because not everybody agrees. And people bring comments in and they're like, I don't agree with you on that. And it just makes it so good. I could not be arsed with, hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. Oh, we're all just amazing and everybody's comments amazing. And yeah, you're all this, you're all that. We're the best. Boring. You know, football's passion. 10 years we've been doing this. It's actually about having different opinions. That's what it's all about. Sometimes it does get a bit heated in here. Sometimes it is a bit irritable, but it's real. It's real. Shaunik says there's lots of posts from United aggregators and Arsenal fans have been saying Heaven is a good player. Do you agree with this? Shaunik, I don't know. I've got no idea. I've seen those same posts, but I think it's interesting. I've heard that he might be a backup to Martinez. I think what I would say, and this is just pure opinion, I think Johnny Evans and Lindelof are gone in the summer. I think next season, if you've got Martinez, Yoro, De Ligt, Maguire, Heaven, that's 5 for 3. You also know Mazraoui can play there. If you can bring a winger in, you might use Mazraoui more defensively or Dalot more defensively as well. So we might not need a centre-back in the summer, is what I'm trying to say. Might not. Whereas last summer, we wanted Branthwaite as well. We might have saved ourselves 50 million quid. So you can spend it elsewhere. Because it's going to be a tight summer. I mean, I'm not saying we won't spend 200 million. I don't know where we get it from, but I don't think we're going to spend $500 million. Thank you very much about that. Romano, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Shaw won't play as wing-back. He'll be a left centre-back, says Guy Fawkes. And do you think, GC says, do you think perhaps we got into this FFP PSR mess because the Glazers had planned to join Super League and therefore did not care about FFP, says GC. And do you think we miss Mount at the number 10? Yeah, well, I think we do miss Mason Mount because he's a player that can play. I don't know how good he is because we've never really seen him play long enough, but I don't think he's a load of shit. I think Mason Mount's issue starts and ends with the fact that he's injury prone. I mean, look, Luke Shaw might be in today, but we knew... Anyway, just on the Luke Shaw thing, by the way, this is not breaking news. We knew last week Luke Shaw was back in training today. But what did Amrim say? He's 2 weeks off being involved. He might get minutes against Leicester a week on Friday, but he won't be playing against Palace. You know, this is a guy that's made of breadsticks. So, yeah, we won't be seeing anything from him anytime soon, I don't think. Jokeres up top with Ahmed and Ganacho will be gold, says Akshat. Romano, thank you very much. There was a question here about FFP and PSR. Look, GC, sorry, it was your question. Let me just say this. When it comes to PSR and FFP, the honest answer is this. We could spend another 30 to 50 million pounds every year on transfers if we didn't have the Glazers in charge with the debt. It's factually there on our filings every year that we're paying between 20 and 60 million pounds a year on interest payments on that debt, which are PSR applicable. So people can't spin that. They can't do anything about that. Arsenal don't pay anything in debt. I can list loads of clubs that don't pay anything in debt. Probably every club actually, but I don't factually know that. But every bloody club doesn't pay it. So every single year and every single year for the next 10 years or however many years the Glazers are here, we pay around, on average, let's say 30, 40 million pounds a year. Just goes on, not off the debt, not into the Glazers' pocket. It just goes to some bank who loaned us the money. That would buy you 2-3 players more, because if I had another 40 million as a Man United owner, I could literally buy 3 50 million pound players, knowing that in year 1, that's the first payment. In year 2, it's the second payment. It's a hell of a lot of money. Richard Smith says BBC are currently live streaming our training. They focused on Rashford, obviously in the hope of proving Amrim wrong. I'll just double check that. The timing of Shaw back in training feels dodgy, says Josh. As Robert McCormack says, Dorgu's got to hit the ground running. It's as simple as that. Look, I'm Team Dorgu. If you're Team Shaw, that's up to you. Oh God, that's Player FC, Goldbridge. You're a liar. No, look, I'm Team Dorgu because Manchester United are the team that needs to perform and build a future, and therefore that for me is the most important thing. You know, I think we need to build a future, not a past. I'm just having a look at some of the training. It's on Beanie Man Sports if you want to watch it live. I'll whack one in the chat. I'm just having a look there. So you've got Anana, Garnacho, Ahmad, Lindelof, Maguire, Xerxes. Amorim's just walking around on his own looking depressed. Yeah, he doesn't look very happy. I'm just trying to spot Luke Shaw here. Agate, Garnacho, Martinez, Malacia's there. De Ligt, Collier, Ericsson. I can't see Luke Shaw. Oh, there's Luke Shaw. Yeah, Luke Shaw is in... fucking... It just makes my blood boil. I can't see Rashford. Apparently the cameras were all over Rashford, but I can't see Rashford. Oh, there he is. There's Rashford. Yeah, definitely Luke Shaw. I don't believe that, by the way. I don't believe that at all, that Marcus Rashford and Amorim won't be on talking terms. I think you can be professional and want to part ways. Before the Glazers, we were paying out dividends every year to PLC shareholders. The difference was we were successful and we invested in the stadium and players, says Glency. Yeah, Spurs and Everton have got more debt than we do, says GC. Is that... I just don't... I have nothing to say. Is that something to be proud of? Like, mate, we are literally paying huge amounts of money each year on PSR repayments, which we could be spending on players because we're in debt to the Glazers. I don't give a shit what Everton and Spurs are doing. Our club's in a mess because of this debt. Fact. Right, thanks everyone for watching. We're back at 2 o'clock as per usual. Let's see what today brings. 17,000 watching live. You're absolute legends. What a community. Make sure you smash the like and subscribe. There is a press conference today at some point as well. We'll keep you posted on that because maybe we'll get a bit of a link about whether are we going to do any more business, I suppose. Are we going to do any business? Thanks everyone for watching. Take care.